Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the annual council on 17th of May 2023. I'll go through the emergency procedures to start with. In case of an emergency, there are no planned fire drills during this meeting. If you hear the fire alarm sound, please treat it as an emergency and evacuate the building via the nearest escape. Nearest route is via the stairs to your left as you leave the council chamber or public gallery. Exit via the door at the back of the building and walk across the inner car park to the evacuation points opposite the police station. The lifts cannot be used. Please do not re-enter the building until you're advised it is safe to do so by a member of staff. I would like to advise that both members of the public and the press, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live. Mobile phones should be switched off unless they're being used for the meeting. Please only speak when I ask you to do so and speak clearly into the microphone. I have on to apologies. I've been apologies received from Councillor Quirk. Are there any other apologies? Right. I would like to advise members of the passing of a former Isle of Wight councillor. Barbara Clough. Barbara served as a councillor from 2001 to 2005, representing Bembridge North Ward, and she also sat on Bembridge Parish Council for a number of years. So that's very sad to hear. Yes, would you like to speak?
Could I just very briefly offer my condolences as the current ward member for Bembridge? Barbara was a very, very popular person.
Thank you for that. Sorry, Councillor Bacon, would you like to speak as well?
And I would like to share in the words of Councillor Robertson, because I was a councillor for Bembridge for a while, and Barbara is still an extremely active member of the community, did so much amazing work, loved by everyone, and she will be very much missed.
Thank you. It's nice to have those words that they appreciate it. Oh, Vanessa, yes. Sorry, Councillor Churchman.
Thank you, Chair. She was a lovely lady, devoted herself to Bembridge, worked extremely hard as a ward councillor, and I'm very sorry to hear what happened to her. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's hope we can all be remembered in that way. It's nice that she served them well. Before we move on to the agenda and to ensure that due process is followed, as I'm likely to be nominated, I will now vacate the chair and leave the room. The Vice Chairman will preside over item 1 on the agenda.
As Vice Chairman, I will now preside over the opening of the meeting. So the meeting is officially open. And item 1 on the agenda is to elect a chairman of the council for the ensuing year. I will ask for nominations for the chairman of the ensuing year. I would ask for seconders for nominations, and then you will have an opportunity to actually speak as the proposers and seconders on those nominations after we have the names in place. Thank you. So, do I have any nominations? Councillor Lever.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bacon.
Yes, I would like to second that.
Do I have any other nominations? Councillor Robertson.
I would like to nominate Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Brodie.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Quirk did indicate to me earlier today that he would be willing to accept a nomination should he be put forward. So yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to speak? We'll do it in reverse. So would you like to speak in regards to the nomination of Councillor Quirk?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm not nominating him because he's the only vacant Conservative tonight. He's not here. He does agree to being nominated. I think, Chair, the principle is a very simple one, that the chair of this council over 4 years, it's a 4-year elected term, should pass from different groups. The nomination made at the beginning of this council term was an alliance nomination. I understand the chair didn't act in the way the alliance would have preferred him to, but he was nevertheless an alliance nomination. And Councillor Critchison is in the alliance. I think it would be unprecedented if this entire council term carried on with a group in minority leading the administration, leading the cabinet, and successively choosing one of their own to chair the council, which should be an independent position. I have nothing personal against our current chair, but Councillor Quirk could do the job very, very well. He's experienced, he's knowledgeable. Most of you know him, or you all know him because he's been here for a couple of terms. There's no point in me going on about how such a great chair he would be. You will have your own views on that. But I think the principle of neutrality and the chair handing from one group to the other is a very important one. We look like we may end up with a 4-year council term of the alliance nominating their own chair for 4 successive years. And I particularly look to those of you who say you are neutral and you're not part of a partisan grouping and you're not in the alliance, to do the right thing and hand the chair over this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Would the seconder for Councillor Quirk like to speak? Councillor Brodie.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Just very briefly, I think I echo everything that Councillor Robertson has said. I also think it's best practice for someone to not do the chair for more than 1 year. It's good practice to share it around. And I think I echo the comments being made by Councillor Robertson regarding neutrality across the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lever, as you nominated, Councillor, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I don't believe in nominating somebody just because it's precedent in the past. I believe in nominating and voting for somebody who I believe will be the best person in the job, and I believe that to be Councillor Critchison. I don't think anybody in here could argue that her civic duty and civic engagement has been outstanding this previous year, and as a chair, I think she's done an outstanding job, and I think she'll be the best person for that role, and that's why I've nominated her.
Councillor Bacon, would you like to speak?
Thank you. Yes, and I'd support what Councillor Lever has said. I'll make no comment on any arguments on the basis of whose turn it is. We've had other chairs serving for 2 years, indeed some people who remain in this chamber, and I think that's not the issue. What is the issue is that the current chair has done an absolutely excellent job, particularly as the civic representative of this council. She has really put her all into it and has become very well respected throughout the community and beyond as a result of the work she's done. So like Joe, Councillor Lever, I support her because I think she has done a very good job. I think she will continue to do a very good job, and I think we will benefit from her as chair for a 2nd year.
Thank you. Propose that we actually move to the vote. And sorry, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I put my hand up late. I think last year I said I also endorsed the view that the chair should only be for a year. I think we've got into a bad habit in recent years of some people, the chap on my right, the current leader of the council, having done 2 years, and nothing against them, but I think we slipped into a bad habit of doing 2-year terms. There is absolutely no doubt that Councillor Critchison has been superb in the civic role. That made me surprise me for me, but I'm not silly. I've seen the superb job she's done as the island has recovered from COVID. For all I could never have fulfilled as chair. However, in a balanced council like this, you need somebody who's a strong chair, the sort of role that I had when I was here. That's the whole reason why I did it, much against my wishes. It was the desire of the current leader of the council that we had a strong chair. But I don't think the outgoing chair has been a strong chair. I'm a difficult person to chair. I'm no bones about it. I understand the constitution. She doesn't. Chris Quirk, who I've known for 6 years now, does understand the constitution, does understand how to chair meetings. And in fact, when he chaired the planning committee between 17 and 21, he was an exemplary chair of that committee. Halcyon days in planning, believe you me, compared to the last 2 horrific years. And I believe that Chris can carry that forward. The problem that we have is that the chair has 2 entirely mutually exclusive roles, civic and constitutional. I believe that the constitutional role is preeminent in a no overall control council. Sadly, we can't separate them out in any way. Maybe that's something for constitutional review in the future, if that's legally possible. But I will be supporting Chris Quirk, as I did last year, the chair of this council. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, it's fair to allow Councillor Jordan to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, because actually it's some information I'm seeking, Chair. It might seem strange to any of us in here, and I've had some explanation, but I'm still struggling to understand this. But there are 2 nominees for the chair. One's in this chamber and will vote, and one isn't. Can I have some information on why that's the case?
I would like to actually say, Councillor Jordan, I did check this out because I had similar concerns, but I will hand it over to Councillor Potter to read from, sorry, Mr. Potter, to actually read from his Bible of meetings to actually explain that that if the chair is in the room, then he, well, in this case, she has to preside. Therefore, I couldn't stand in as vice chair, and she can't, or he or she cannot preside over their own election. Mr. Potter, our legal officer, will actually give you chapter and verse of why that legally is.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I'll try and keep it short and to the point. Thank you. As Councillor Lilly's explained, if a chairman is present in the room, then they have to preside. And in this particular case, the outgoing chairman has sought an accepted nomination for re-election. And there's a long-standing principle in law that a person cannot preside over their own election. So you have the situation that they cannot preside and be present when they're nominated, and can't be present when the vote takes place. And therefore, the chair has rightly vacated and left the meeting. In other words, if she hadn't, any nomination would be void in law, and the election would be void itself. So she's done exactly the right thing, as was mentioned about following due process, and this is well established in law. And I'm just sort of obviously one of the, not the only, but one of the leading sort of reference books on meetings is Noel's on local authority meetings. So this is only happens when a chairman is seeking a second term, and it is right and proper what has happened. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, can we move to the vote? The procedure will be a named vote. And please can you say who you're voting for? So if you're voting for Claire Critchinson, say Critchinson or Claire Critchinson. If you're voting for Quirk, say Quirk, and that when your name is called out. Okay, I will put it to Mr. Potter now, who will do the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. So as you've heard, please indicate clearly whether you're voting for Councillor Critchinson or whether you're voting for Councillor Quirk, or indeed whether you're abstaining. Councillor Andre, please.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Claire Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Downer. Thank you. Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Claire Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Lever.
Councillor Claire Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Love.
Councillor Claire Richardson.
Thank you. Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Claire Richardson.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Quigley.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Claire Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart. Thank you. Councillor Beston.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Chris Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Chris Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Drew.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor Henry.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholson.
Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Outlaw. Thank you. Councillor Peace. Thank you. Councillor Price. Thank you. Councillor Redrup.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Councillor Quirk.
Thank you. Councillor Brodie. Thank you. Councillor Adams. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Jarman.
Abstain.
Okay. Councillor Medland.
Councillor Critchinson.
Thank you. Councillor Spink.
Abstain.
Councillor PC Wilcox. Councillor Levy.
Councillor Critchinson. Okay, I have the votes for Councillor Critchinson 18, for Councillor Quirk 16. I hereby declare that Councillor Claire Critchinson is the coming year Chair of Isle of Wight Council. Thank you. Just going to call a short break so that we can for the new chair to enter the room. So there'll be a 5-minute break. Thank you.
benefit of those watching online, Councillor Critchison, as the chairman of the council, is signing her declaration acceptance of her chairmanship role for the year.
Some official bits here. So I, Claire Critchison, having been elected to the office of Chairman of the Isle of Wight Council, declare that I take office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I'm going to sign these forms. We now move to item 2 on the agenda, and that is to appoint a vice chairman for the council for the ensuing year. So I'd like to ask for nominations. Councillor Luciani?
I have great pleasure in proposing Councillor Cllr.
Are there any other nominations? Oh, seconder, sorry. Councillor Andre, you second. Any other nominations? No? So with only one nomination put forward and seconded, we will move to the vote on that. No, you don't need to. I wasn't sure if anyone wants to abstain or usual due process.
Through you, Chair, obviously, if it's the wish of the meeting, then by affirmation of those present, then it can be taken as the the appointment of the Vice Chair, which is Councillor Carl Love. So unless there's any desire to hold a specific vote, then looking across the chamber, I think by affirmation, we are welcoming Vice Chairman Councillor Carl Love.
Councillor Brodie.
Just in the interest of democracy, I know it's an alien concept sometimes in this, but you should still give an opportunity for anybody to indicate whether they do not affirm that election, i.e. do they abstain or do they refuse? You haven't given me, if I want to do that opportunity. Therefore, my residents have not had any say in that election.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. That was quite my point from the start, that I thought that there should be that opportunity. Councillor Stevens?
Thank you. And I think by Councillor Brodie's own words, he's already reaffirmed his line of thought. So I'm quite happy that he's had his say on it. I'd just like to say something positive about the new Vice Chair, who's worked hard over the last couple of years with the Alliance administration, picking up very well from the former cabinet member, Councillor Claire Mosdell, who also did some sterling work. So I think that, you know, it's time for Carl to step up and take part in the civic responsibility of this council. So that's all I want to say. And my residents will know that I support Councillor Love. Thank you.
Councillor Mosdale.
Thank you. And as much as Councillor Stevens seemed to say some nice words about me, I would just like to affirm what Councillor Brodie said. Yes, in the sake of democracy, we should all vote, but also we shouldn't assume what Councillor Brodie is thinking. It's about trying to think what, in my head, what I'm thinking. I might actually want us to vote, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to vote for Councillor Love. So I think we should have a vote, and thank you, Councillor Brodie, for bringing that up.
Thank you both. Yes, I think we should not assume anyone's thoughts on any of it and go ahead with a show of hands as an affirmation, perhaps, so that those who are in favour of that, and then we can. So yes, please raise your hands if you're in favour of Councillor Love as Vice Chairman. Thank you very much. That's the majority. Would anyone like to vote against Councillor Love? And would anyone like to abstain? No. Thank you very much. Councillor Lilly would like to speak.
Just like to state that I'm glad and welcome Councillor Love to Wood. I stepped in because he wasn't clear on his position last year into being the chair, and I'm glad to now hand over, although it's taken 12 months.
Thank you, Councillor Lilly. Your position as Vice Chair was very much appreciated.
I, Carl Love, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of the Isle of Wight Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will dutifully and faithfully fulfil the duties of it in accordance to the best of my judgment and ability.
Well done, Carl. I welcome you up here as my Vice Chairman, and I look forward to us working together this year. And I was just going to say that thank you to Michael Lilly for all that his help and assistance this past year. That it's been invaluable, and I've really appreciated all that he's done. So thank you, Michael. And Councillor Love, would you like to speak?
I'd just like to say a grateful thanks to everybody. I'm a bit overwhelmed. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Okay, with those bits over with, we will go on to item 3, which is the minutes. So to approve the minutes for the full council meeting held on the 15th of March 2023. I ask members if you agree if that is a correct record and can be signed. So does everyone agree with the minutes? If you could have a show of hands, please, those that are happy with minutes. Yep. Are there any changes? No. Okay, I will just sign the minute. And declarations of interest. Does anybody have anything they would like to declare? Okay, moving on. I've got a little report as the official announcements, Chairman. 5. So I've had a wonderful year representing the council already, and being an ambassador for the island, it's been my pleasure to attend a range of events, including civic functions, citizenship events, local charities, sports clubs, schools, and much, much more. It was a very eventful year that started with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and sadly the death of our monarch, and finished with the coronation of our new King, Charles III. The role of chairperson at these times was an honour, and seeing our islanders enjoy those festivities is something that I will remember for a long time. In the last 2 months, I've attended Portsmouth Civic Day, Ryde Mayor's fundraising gala, the Coronation Church services, Isle of Wight Council Civic Service, Southampton Civic Dinner, the 250th Ramblers Gate opening, and marshalled for Walk the Wight. I know I've made it, I've been to an opening of a gate. And we were very pleased to welcome the first primary school for some time into County Hall to learn about the Isle of Wight Council, the lieutenancy and the voting process. So thank you to Godshill Primary for coming in. And the Isle of Wight Walking Festival is taking place this week. And at the weekend, I led a walk of 30 people around my ward as a fundraiser for my charity of the year, South Wight Youth Activities. My total for the fundraising for this year is £1,069.03, and I will continue to raise money for them this next year. And obviously, I look forward to another year of supporting charities, attending events, and doing the profile of the council and just being there and carrying on as I did. So again, I'd like to thank Michael for his help throughout that year as my vice chair. I'm getting a bit emotional remembering it. So, thank you. All right. Moving on to item 6, the Leaders' Annual Report. Councillor PC Wilcox.
You will see my annual Leaders' Report is more lengthy than what I would normally agree and do, but there has been rather a lot in a whole year. My congratulations to our new chair and vice chair. Thank you. Well done. I hope you get on very well together. Week 103 of my leading this council. As reported, without a doubt, a very difficult year for everyone. Few have escaped the loss of loved ones and dear friends. Few of us have not had to completely rethink how we live and change our habits, especially due to the energy price hikes, cost of living. The council is no different. Chief Exec is well aware I try to be as thrifty as I am as a housewife as I am leader of this council. We constantly strive to find ways of doing things differently. As many will be aware, the council are undergoing a transformational change, long overdue, I must add. I am very aware this impacts staff, and that saddens me deeply. I do not put the burden solely on staff, though, but also on our cabinet members. There will be a restructure of the cabinet as we take responsibility for financial implications on board. I will update you all as soon as this has happened. Item 8A of the agenda is about political proportionality and committees. We have endeavoured to work cross-party from the get-go. Indeed, if all positions are filled this evening, there are 9 chairs and up to 8 5-chair positions going across the chamber. On that point, and as in my last paragraph, I again mention my thanks to those councillors throughout the chamber that have supported us. Councillors Nicholson, Councillors Oliver, Councillor Ward, Councillor Peace, Councillor Quigley, Councillor Stewart and Councillor Lilly, all of whom have worked cross-party for the good of our island residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pearcey-Wilcox. I would invite questions to the leader on her report. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Chair. And first, my congratulations to both yourself and to the Vice Chair. And my memory is particularly of an event last year when you presided over the citizenship ceremony of somebody very, very dear to me. But that made a very special day. My question to the leader is, what is glaringly absent from her report is that she's not been able to report on gaining an island deal. So much of the expenditure is still having to channel stuff that we have to bid to government for or hope that we get from government. Will she be looking through the current year, particularly with the visit of Michael Gove and senior civil servants to the island, to tell them the time for waiting and cogitating about an island deal is over and it's time to cough up the cash?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Yes, I can absolutely assure you that I will continue to fight for the extra funding that this island deserves. It's actually not even that we deserve it, we need it. It's a need, a dire need. We are, I would say, we're up to our noses in water. We're just about surviving. I will press all the government ministers, and I have a number of them coming down, not just this for the Islands Forum, but after that, I will continue to press and give them for instances and the issues that the islanders are truly facing. They have absolutely no idea. Do you know, I was talking to the Chief Constable, first time I had a conversation with him, and it was refreshing. He kept saying, but the island's different. And I'm like, yes, somebody outside gets it. So I will constantly raise those issues, and I will be banging the drum because it's tiring. I understand it's been going on since 1964. It's very technical, the information that government are requesting for us to change. It's not a case of just me bleating on. This is technical information that they need that will change the arithmetics so that we can get the funding. But I will continue to fight. Thank you.
Got quite a list building up here, so I'll write your names down. But I've got Councillor Jones-Evans next, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Leader, for your very comprehensive report. And you know, I share the emotion as well. It has been a really, really difficult year, but I think we're in a really good, strong position as a chamber to keep the good work up. My question was really regarding the healthy lifestyle section on page 17 of your report. I was wondering if you would allow me just to add a little bit in there and give thanks to all our team at One Leisure, because I don't know if you realise, we actually do a huge amount of GP referrals for free with the social prescribing, and we're going to be putting together some data and some case studies to show how successful we've been. There were people managing to turn their health around with the support of our professional team across our leisure centres on the island. So, you know, I'm a big fan of One Leisure. I'm there nearly well, at least 5 times a week up at Medina and the Heights. So I always think I will take any opportunity to big up that team, because as you know, they were outstanding during COVID. They got awards from the Chief Executive and yourself for all their work they did, you know, in delivering all sorts of necessary programs during that time of shutdown. So, and we're back up to 87% of where we were previous to the lockdown as far as memberships go. So thank you for allowing me just to ask that question to you. Thank you, Leader.
Can I just say, I didn't realise that the doctor referrals were still taking place, but I absolutely know how that is changing lives. We saw it in a gym in Cowes, it was called the New Life Gym, and I absolutely know the difference that that makes to people, having that one-to-one. You're quite right about the One Leisure staff. They completely readapted and rejigged their whole being in order to help out during COVID. They were exceptional. I'm very proud, bearing in mind some of the health issues that we have, significant health issues that we have on the island. I'm very proud that we've managed to keep afloat and keep them going as a leisure service. Many have failed up and down the country. I also appreciate, you know, how our finances are, and I also appreciate that the staff have got the back up to 80%. That is pretty pretty exceptional. So yeah, I hope they continue to change those lives for the better for people, for their mental health as well as their physical health. Thank you.
Councillor Quigley.
I thank the leader for giving me the opportunity to lead on the community wealth building initiative last year, and I thank the officers who've really thrown themselves into it and the hard work they've put in so far. I ask the leader to ensure that any restructure community wealth building threads through its core.
I can confirm, as I said earlier, I absolutely thank you for the work that you've put into community wealth building. You brought it to us, you've headed it up. We've sort of given you carte blanche to run forward. We have had very good support from the Chief Exec and everyone else. It's really good that we're now allowed to be associate member of Shaping Portsmouth. That's really good because, you know, strength in numbers. Yeah, continue with the good work. And when I have had the chance and the opportunity to look at the restructure, along with the transformational change so that it makes sense, I would definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Stewart.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. Obviously, you saw it very briefly, and I understand that one of your colleagues will be answering it. Following my question in January, the council stated they had delivered 5 flats on the island last year. The same number delivered by Vectors Housing in Bryston this month. The Isle of Wight population is 3/4 the size of Portsmouth City Council, where the Liberal Democrats are delivering over 1,000 affordable homes. So the question is, can the council tell us how many affordable and low-cost rental homes have been delivered in the last 4 months, and how many they expect to deliver in the next 12 months?
I don't have that figure off the top of my head, Councillor Stewart, but it is a very important question to ask and to raise. You're quite right about Vectis and all the work that they've been doing and the fact that we have been able to. I'm very envious of Portsmouth, who have managed, I mean, we share the same 151 officer, so I don't understand what the difference is between us and them and why we cannot. However, I will refer to Councillor Stevens, who can give you an answer, Councillor Stevens.
You won't get any figures because I'm not going to pluck them out the air. What you will do is get a written response, because I know that other members around the chamber would like to ask the leader questions. But what I will say is that can't compare Portsmouth to the Isle of Wight with what we've got over here. Our housing stock went into housing associations way back when in the 1900s, and unfortunately, yes, we're still reeling from that. If we kept them, at least we'd have got some income. Might have been a bit of outgoing. There might have been some outgoing, but a lot of these councils have kept their housing stock, and the downside better situation, excuse my language, than we are. What I will say is that we're still pursuing and persisting housing stock. We've got some things in the mix, but that will come out when things are more ready to go public on them. But we're still struggling with trying to get an agreement with the Section 151 officer on how we can absolutely approach the Isle of Wight Council's notion of actually building housing for those people, especially in temporary accommodation. We're pursuing that, and I invite you to come and join us and sit down, and we can work through it. Once again, I've done this across the chamber, and Councillors Ward and Councillor Oliver have been involved, and so they should be. And it's an open door. Come and have a word. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. See how we can move things forward. I won't give you any figures because, quite honestly, they're changing. I will say that we dealt with 2,000 applications for homelessness on the Isle of Wight last year. So you can see how hard the staff are working, and it's not just about the work. It's about balancing the book and making sure that the Isle of Wight Council's solvent and still balanced. You will probably have heard from the Section 151 officer that we're stable but fragile. And if you think about that, we don't want to be taken down the road of some of the local authorities further north than Portsmouth. Thank you.
Councillor Mosdale.
So thank you. Councillor Stewart, it was my question I was going to ask as well. And thank you for Councillor Stevens for giving me an answer that I didn't actually really understand and felt it was a bit fluff and flannel, really.
Fantastic. That's the way, if you listen. And
what we have to understand is, and what Councillor Stewart, I'm speaking, Councillor Stevens, thank
absolutely.
you. So if you
Please,
let me
the
finish,
door's
that would
open.
be good.
Outside the chamber, we can talk.
So my point is, we are halfway through this administration. You've got 715 sleeps left to go. The only keys in the door so far is Branston, which I sat on, and it was me that, as part of the last administration, got that up and running. So I think what Councillor Stewart was saying is, where are we with actual spades in the ground, projects that are going live? We do have the same finance officer as Portsmouth, but actually what we want to know is what projects are really coming forward that within the next year, island residents who need to move into these properties can be moving into. We don't need to hear how many rental applications have been dealt with by what department or whatever. We need to know what housing developments are ready to go to be financed for our island residents who need a roof over their head. Thank you.
Councillor Stevens.
Thank you. No waffle at all, Councillor Brodie. Can you let me speak for a moment, and I'll try and put Councillor Mosdale at her ease. Yes, Branston was running when the independent group ran this council prior to the Conservative administration. It takes a long time to bring forward these developments, and that's quite right. You did a very good job, but always remember that it was the roots of the independent group that got that shifting. What I would say is that 2 budgets ago, we sat in this chamber and we asked that all budgetary proposals were checked for implications and problems with our budget proposal. Section 151 officer allowed an amendment to come forward which took £1 million out of the budget towards housing on this Isle of Wight, and was 500,000 was put towards rights of way, and the other 500,000 was put elsewhere, and we know where that went: tree planting. So when you start to think about the concerns that you're expressing about homelessness on the Isle of Wight, Conservative budget amendment 2 years ago took £1 million out of housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Lilly next, please.
In regard, I would list a follow-up to the leader regarding about housing. I have asked this question through corporate scrutiny, the last corporate scrutiny, is the housing schemes you have mentioned, the one in Brightston and the one Branston, were led by Vectus Housing Association, which is our indigenous housing association. Out of the housing associations on the island, it's the actually only one that's actually building housing. And my question is why aren't we working with Vectus Housing to actually supply? I have spoken to them and they would be able to actually work with this council in delivering housing. They've already proved that they're the only one who's actually delivering that. So I'd like to know, are we having current talks with Vectus Housing Association?
Can we make it brief, Councillor Stevens? We've got a few to get through. And I know we're talking about, Councillor Munsdale, let me talk and I will explain. We are answering the same question. We have a lot to discuss on that subject. Perhaps you could keep it brief to answer Councillor Lilly, and then we can move on from that, because I think we do need to discuss that cross-party in more detail at some other point. Thank you.
I feel a responsibility that I should answer the question. I'm going to make it very brief. Yes, we are speaking with Vectus Housing Association. We have been speaking with Vectus Housing Association. Martin Pearl actually sent me an email yesterday, but as far as working together,
Stevens, I think it's broken, but I don't think it's but we do need to bring it to a close. So if we could ask that question again at scrutiny and have an answer on it afterwards, please. Leader, would you like to add something? I believe you omitted something from your report at the beginning.
Yeah, my sincere apologies. As a number of you will be aware, that it was reported at full council on the 18th of January. A motion was agreed that required the cabinet leader to report back to full council by the end of June on the progress of the draft island planning strategy. At the cabinet meeting last week, it was unanimously decided that the leader provided a verbal update to full council today. I can confirm that the update is that the cabinet is not bringing the draft island planning strategy forward at this moment in time, as the proposed changes to national planning policy and transitional arrangements have not yet been confirmed and published by the government. As soon as practicable, after the government have done this, and we have understood the implications on local plan making, the cabinet will come back to full council, setting out how it proposes to progress the draft local plan. Thank you.
Thank you. And there is members' questions at the end, so hopefully those that didn't get a chance will get time at their end. Thank you. And now on to item 7, which is to approve the programme of ordinary council meetings for the ensuing year. So you have a list of dates in front of you, and I believe the leader, you're introducing this? Don't know, otherwise I'll introduce it. The list of dates is put forward there, which I believe includes the extra date that was added last year. I think Councillor Brodie, you asked for an extra date to be put in, and that reflects that still. So could I have someone to propose that? Councillor Lilly, thank you. Is someone like to second? Councillor Brazing, we'd like to ask a question first.
As we've had emails just now confirming you in our diaries, I assume there's no point discussing it. We've had emails now with diary invites, so I guess that's a done deal, is it?
No, I don't believe it's a done deal. I think that's probably just admin being getting the job done to make sure that it's completed, but it doesn't mean that there can't be any changes if anyone has a problem with the dates. So Councillor Lilly has put that forward. Could I have a seconder? Councillor Stewart, thank you. Okay, so can I vote on those dates? Is there those that would agree with those for those dates? Agree with those? Please raise your hands. You? Is that everyone? Some that haven't. Is anyone counting? Is there any against? No. Is there any abstain? There's 2 abstentions. Okay, we can work that out from there. So those dates are carried. Those dates are now confirmed. Thank you. And on to item 8, the report of the monitoring officer, and 8A is the review of the political proportionality and alternative arrangements of appointments of committees, allocation of seats and nominations to committees. And I invite the monitoring officer to lead on this and introduce this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an annual requirement to conduct a political proportionality review. As many will be aware, we've had recently a new political group established as well. Members will have seen the revised report, and also various nominations have been put forward to fill vacancies for chair, vice chair, and on the committees themselves. The first point to make is that there are no changes to the size or terms of reference of committees, although a recommendation has been put forward that the Audit Committee should be renamed the Audit and Governance Committee. That follows the full Council's decision last May, where it clarified some of the terms of reference in relation to the Audit Committee itself. The political proportionality review, which I've just referred to, as ever, it's for political groups to put forward their nominations in terms of the seat allocation, which is proportionate to their overall size on the council, and indeed, obviously, those councillors who are unaligned have a similar proportion of seats. There's a statutory calculation in accordance with the principles under Local Government and Housing Act 1989, and the Appendix 1, revised Appendix 1, which members have in front of you, seeks to reflect the wishes which have been expressed by all the councillors who've responded. What I propose, and I'm in members' hands as ever, that we go through A to Z in terms of the committees, dealing with the posts of chair to see if there's any sort of competing nominations or not, and then vice chairs, and then just confirming that we've got the wishes correct on the sheet of paper in front of you this evening. The other item, just for completeness in terms of recommendations, there's also a housekeeping exercise whereby there's a recommendation to seek delegated authority to the Director of Corporate Services to be able to declare any vacancy in the office of councillor under any vacancies under Section 86 of the Local Government Act 72, and that the Constitution be updated accordingly. The revised report contains further details which have been outlined in that report. So with the indulgence of the chair, if I simply sort of go straight to the Appeals Committee. So I think, Chairman, I think Councillor wants to.
Councillor Lilly.
I just wanted to correct that in regards to the Policy and Scrutiny Committee, I was elected last year and have carried out being the vice chair. It says vacancy. I have actually been the vice.
Yes, through you, Chair, but obviously it's a requirement each year for the chairs and vice chairs to be considered at the annual meeting. So fully accept the past history I'm grateful for that, and it's a matter of really deciding this evening, moving forward for the ensuing year, who is to serve as chair and vice chair on various committees. So the first matter, just to clarify with members, is the chairmanship of the appeals committee. The outgoing chair has been Councillor Ian Daw. I have Ian Daw actually on the list currently. Are there any other nominations for that particular committee? Okay. Now, bear in mind what's said previously, do members wish to formally vote on that appointment?
We vote by affirmation. Those that are for Councillor Daw taking that chairmanship of appeals, raise your hands. Thank you. Is there anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Councillor Brodie. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, sticking with the election of chairs of the various committees, the next one is relatively straightforward in terms of what the Constitution says. The Appointments and Employment Committee, that position is held by the leader of the Cabinet, and that is Councillor Laura P.C. Wilcox. So if I move on to the, if you just want to formally vote that one through, just for completeness.
Happy with the vice chair. Is there all those four? Anyone against? And any abstentions?
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
So again, sticking with the positions of chair, we now move on to the audit committee or audit and governance committee, depending what members decide tonight. The chair for last year was Councillor Andrew Garrett. We have a nomination of Councillor Andrew Garrett to be chair of the audit and governance committee moving forwards. Are there any other nominations?
Councillor Brodie.
Just for clarification, Chair, that the monitoring officer said we have a nomination. Who's made the nomination?
I guess the groups have been asked and put forward.
Might be helpful if we had that clarified.
Yes, I think in advance of this, the groups were asked if they would put forward nominations.
Some of us aren't in a group.
Or even, I believe the ungrouped were also asked to. No, I don't know then. That's my understanding. So, Councillor Garrett.
I think it would be good form to actually hear a mover and a seconder. I will look to my left for that. It happens sometimes, Chair.
I'm happy to propose.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you, Councillor Garrett. And Councillor Jones-Evans?
Yes, I was going to nominate Councillor Garrett for chair of audit.
Okay, so I think we've covered that. Councillor Brodie, so we can move on to the vote. So those that are, who's a seconder? Oh, so we've got lots of seconders now. So I think Councillor Stewart and Councillor Jones-Evans have nominated and seconded. So thank you. Are those in favour of Councillor Garrett? Thank you. Is there any against? Any abstentions? Oh, Councillor Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. The next one on the list is the chairmanship of Corporate Scrutiny Committee. Are there any nominations, please?
I nominate Joe Robertson.
Sorry, who's? Oh, Councillor Quickly. Hello. So I was like, I could hear this voice, but didn't know where it's coming from. And I just saw these hands. So. Yes, I know. I might as well go to Councillor Quickly. Would you like to nominate someone?
Councillor Joe Robertson.
Thank you. Would someone like to second that? Councillor Lucioni?
Yes, please, I'll second that.
Hello. Councillor Ward, would you like to nominate someone? Sorry, Councillor Brading, I don't know.
Yes, I'll portray my voice that way. I'd like to obviously nominate Councillor Robertson, Chair of Corporate Scrutiny.
Okay, well, I think Councillor Robertson is nominated. Would anyone else like to nominate anyone else? No?
Chairman, just to make absolutely certain, presumably Councillor Robertson, you're willing to accept the nomination.
I'll accept my nominations wherever they come from.
Excellent. So I think we've covered the democracy that was needed for that. So those in favour of Councillor Robertson, Chair of Scrutiny? Thank you. And those against? Any abstentions? Councillor Lever.
Thank you, members. The next one on the list is the Harbour Committee, the Chair of the Harbour Committee. Any nominations, please?
Nominations? Phil. Phil, it has to be Phil, I think. Yeah, I think it is Phil.
Yep.
So it's Councillor Jordan. Sorry, I shouldn't say Phil. It's Councillor Jordan. So I think
Can we just formally put it to the vote?
formally,
even though
could we
it's
just
informal?
formally vote that through then? Show of hands, please. Thank you. Thank you. And any against that or abstaining? No, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. The next one is the Investigating and Disciplinary Committee. Any nominations, please?
Nominations for this one? Councillor Lucioni?
I put forward Debbie Andre.
Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Lilly? Are there any other nominations? I quite agree, but I think, could we go to the vote on Councillor Andre, please?
I'm happy to accept. The
Oh, yes, would you like to accept? I believe your name's there, so I believe you have, so thank you. Yeah, could I have a show of hands that are happy for Councillor Andre, please? Thank you. And anyone against? And any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And we're moving now, please, to the Licensing Committee, the position of Chair of the Licensing Committee. Any nominations, please?
Councillor Peace Wilcox?
I would like to nominate Councillor Gary Peace. I actually haven't spoke to see if he's willing to take that on, but I would like to, who is currently the Vice Chair. Thank you.
Do a seconder? Councillor Churchman, I'd like to second that. And Councillor Peace, would you like to accept that? Nomination? Yep. Could we vote on that, please? Those that, oh, is there any other nominations? I'm skipping ahead there, assuming there isn't. But no, that looks like that's okay. Hands up for that. And then any against and any abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And the next one is the chairmanship of the Pension Fund Committee. Any nominations, please?
Councillor Peace Wilcox?
Can I nominate Councillor Jarman, please? I haven't asked him, actually. He's willing to do it.
Would anyone like to second that, please? Councillor Spinks in front of me, sorry. I forget to see you there, Councillor. Councillor Spinks, seconded. Thank you. Councillor Jarman, are you
accept the nomination?
You're accepting. Excellent. Councillor Luciani?
On this copy, it says vacancy, but actually I'm taking that third place in the committee.
I think we'll just make sure that page, that change is noted. Thank you. We need to vote on that. So everybody that is in favour of Councillor Jarman being pensions chair, and anyone against? Any abstentions? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We now move on to the chairmanship of the Planning Committee. Any nominations, please?
Excuse me, Chair, just before we move to that, is it okay if my name is corrected? I don't think we have a Councillor Julian Jones Evans in the house. Yeah, I think it would be important that we get the names correct.
Indeed. Apologies.
Sorry, I missed that. Yes, we'll make sure that's noted. Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Fuller?
I would like to nominate Councillor Warren Drew as the chairman of the Planning Committee.
A seconder, Councillor Stevens? Thank you. Councillor Drew, are you willing to accept that? Sorry, I don't know where you were. I saw your faces.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All those four? Oh, any other nominations? Again, skipping ahead. So all those four? Thank you. Anyone against? And any abstentions? Right, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members. The next one on my list is the chairmanship of the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Children's Services, Education and Skills. Any nominations, please?
Councillor Lilly
Councillor Richard Quigley.
and any seconders? Councillor Robertson? No, you want to
I'd
not
make the
seconding.
nominee.
No. Councillor Andre? Oh, that's nominated. Second. Any other nominations? Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Ellis.
Is there a seconder for Councillor Ellis? Councillor Mosdale. I think she was first. Thank you. Right. All those for Councillor, I forgot who was nominated. Councillor Quigley. And then it's against. Then all those voting for Councillor Ellis, sorry, getting confused with it. I think that's carried that Councillor Quigley by one vote. 90. I think officially the vote has been taken. So monitoring officer is going to confirm. Thank you.
Yes, the vote has been taken.
Sorry, that's a shame, but the next post to be discussed, Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Chairman. The next item is the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Health and Social Care. Any nominations, please?
Nominations, Councillor Garrett.
I nominate Councillor Lilly.
A seconder for that, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Lilly's been nominated and seconded. Is there any other nominations for health scrutiny? Yes, Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Nicholson still.
And a seconder, Councillor Mosdale. Yeah, thank you. Are you both accepting of that? So, yeah. Okay, so voting again. So we're voting for Councillor Lilly first, please. And those voting for Councillor Nicholson. Two. That's a tie. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, let's just double check before I have to. Is there any abstentions? Let's just speak. So is everyone happy with the results now that we've had that? Okay. I will. No? 18 all. So I will cast my vote, and I am going for Councillor Lilly. So I will give him my extra vote. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just say that I will now need to resign my position of adult social care scrutiny, because I think John's just done such a fantastic job for the last 6 years. He's been absolutely stunning. The stuff that he's done for dentistry and stuff like that's been amazing. And
I don't think
resign my
that's
position.
I don't think that's being put in question. I do think he's obviously done a very good job, but this is the democratic process, I believe, and we have been asked to do that. So thank you for your comments, and I do agree. I think there's been a good job, but we're moving on to the next committee, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we've now covered
There's now a is it correct? There's now a vacancy on Adult Social Care Committee because Councillor Mussel's resigned.
You can nominate somebody else from your group, I believe.
Yes.
What stage should I do that?
That can be done at.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Robertson. What I propose is we carry on with the process at the moment. I think we've just dealt with all the chairs. If we then go one more left. Obviously, I'm trying to put stuff inadvertently. Neighbourhoods, yeah. So there's one, the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Neighbourhoods and Regeneration Chair post needs to be dealt with. We'll then go to the vice chairs and then we'll confirm the wishes of the respective groups and the non-aligned councillors as regards the seats on the particular committees themselves. So if we move to the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Neighbourhoods and Regeneration, and if the nominations are going to be put forward. Thank you.
Councillor Peter Wilcox.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Nick Stewart as the Chairman of Policy for Neighbourhoods and Regen.
I second that, Councillor Garrett. And any other nominations? Councillor Robertson?
Councillor Beston.
Okay, is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Churchman seconding that.
And
Okay.
just to clarify, both nominees are willing to accept the nomination.
Happy to accept, Chair. Happy to accept, Chair.
Thank you. So all those in favour of Councillor Stewart? And all those in favour of Councillor Beston, please. Councillor, any abstentions, sorry. Two abstentions, thank you. To Councillor Stewart as chair of that committee, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. We now come to the positions of vice chair of the various committees. So again, if we just do it A to Z and let me know if there's any nominations, please. So the vice chairmanship of the appeals committee, any nominations?
So nominations for vice chair of appeals. We're going through
Appeals, yes, sorry.
appeals. We've got, Councillor Stevens.
Yes. Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
And seconder, Councillor Andre. Thank you. Any other nominations for vice chair or appeals? No, let's go to the vote. Is everybody just show of hands that you're happy for Councillor Bacon to take that role as vice chair? Thank you. Any abstentions? Against, sorry, or abstentions? Abstention. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll move next to the position of Vice Chair for Appointments and Employment Committee. Chairman.
Councillor Brodie.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Robertson to continue as Vice Chair, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. So that's seconded. Show of hands for the, any other nominations? Sorry. Any other nominations first? No. Okay, so show of hands then. Thank you. Any abstentions? No. Is there any against? Sorry, I've got that bit. No. Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. We now move to the Vice Chairmanship of the Audit Committee, Audit and Governance Committee.
Any nominations? Councillor Brodie.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Churchman, please.
And a seconder for Councillor Churchman. Councillor Redrop. And are you happy to take that position, Councillor Churchman?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, is there any other nominations? No, could we have a show of hands for Councillor Churchman? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Sorry, Councillor Mosder?
Could I just ask a procedural question? So when we're doing this, we actually say who's going to be proposed, who's been seconded, and then you have to ask them if they want that position, wouldn't you? When we went to the vote on children's services, nobody spoke to Councillor Ellis to ask if she wanted to accept that position. We went straight to the vote. So does that mean that that vote actually hasn't been taken without actually asking first? Just asking.
Oh, I think we just ask it for clarification to make sure, but I don't think it's procedurally. But monitoring for a second.
Thank you.
Ask on that.
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, members present can decide whether they accept a nomination or not. Sometimes you are right, the specific question is asked if they're prepared to accept a nomination. Silence on the part of someone who's been nominated in the chamber would indicate they're willing to accept that nomination, and therefore things proceed on that basis. At any stage, if a member wishes to change their mind before the vote's taken, then clearly they can do so. And there was no dispute raised on that particular vote.
Thank you for clarifying that. I forgot where we are now. Which one?
Through you, Chairman,
you.
we're now looking at, as far as I understand, the Vice Chair of Corporate Scrutiny Committee.
Do we have any nominations for Vice Chair of Corporate Scrutiny? Any nominations? Councillor Jarman.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Spink.
Do I have a seconder for Councillor Spink? Councillor Medland, thank you. Do I have any other nominations? Councillor Bacon
I'd like to nominate Councillor Chris Quirk.
and Councillor Andre, you seconding? Councillor Stevens? Oh, sorry. Is there any other nominations?
Councillor Quirk's not here to accept the nomination and wouldn't.
I had a conversation with Councillor Quirk earlier today. He said he'd be willing to accept any nominations put forward, but obviously, sort of, if there is some doubt about it, then it's a matter for members to take a view on it. Things may have changed since the conversation.
Councillor Robertson first, if you'd like to speak.
Could I request a very short adjournment, just a couple of minutes? I think it would help for clarification.
I think, yes, we probably should have clarified. Councillor Love, did you want to speak?
I was going to ask if it could be deferred until we've got the member here.
Yeah, I think we're just going to adjourn so that we can contact Councillor Quirk and double check that. Thank you. So there's a 5-minute adjournment for that, please. Thank you. Anyone needing a break, take it now. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We're back in session. And could I just, as a reminder, to use your microphones? I think some people on the screen are not able to hear some things. I think there's where it's intermittent with the voting process. So we could just remember to use that. Thank you. And we were waiting for an answer about Councillor Quirk's nomination. Councillor Robertson?
There isn't an acceptance to a nomination from Councillor Quirk.
There isn't. So we have a nomination for Councillor Spink, if I remember rightly. Is there any other nominations? Councillor Jones-Evans?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Martin Oliver as Vice Chairman of Planning.
Scrutiny.
Corporate scrutiny we're on.
Beg your pardon, sorry.
Okay.
The class for me.
So is there any other nominations? Are we going to the vote on this? So can we have, Councillor Spink, have you accepted? You did accept it, I think. Yes, you did. Yes, yep, accepted. So could we have a show of hands for the, Councillor Brodie?
Yeah, well, let's just correct ourselves again for a moment. Just because Councillor Oliver's name isn't on this list doesn't mean to say he cannot be elected to a position. All that, the election of a chair and vice chair takes precedence the appointment of people to the committees. So if Councillor Oliver were to accept it and be elected, Councillor Robertson would then have to remove somebody else from corporate scrutiny, and so as that Councillor Oliver could be a member. So let's get things right tonight, because there's too much of, rushing things through. I did warn you at the start of the meeting.
Yeah, we don't
Somebody
have a
knows what they're
nomination.
doing.
Councillor Brodie?
You all voted for it.
Councillor Brodie, we don't have a nomination for Councillor Oliver on the table
Well,
because it was
making the point.
for the wrong committee. So I don't think it's a question of him being able to do it for corporate scrutiny. So I think that can be dealt with if we get to planning, because that's what she wanted. But Martin, yeah, you're in the room. Would you like to comment? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to be nominated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. So could we get back to the vote for Councillor Spink if there is no other nominations? Okay, those for Councillor Spink for Vice Chair of Corporate Scrutiny. Any against? Any abstentions? Oh, was that against? Oh, sorry, any against? Start again, this is the against. I didn't see. On abstentions? Could we just double check those that were against? Joe Lever, Councillor Lever. Okay, now abstentions. 6. Thank you. Well, that vote is carried for Councillor Spink. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We now move to the position of Vice Chair for the Harbour Committee. Any nominations, please?
Any nominations? Councillor P.C. Wilcox.
I nominate Councillor Gary Peace if he's willing to stay as Vice Chair.
I'm happy with that.
You're happy with that? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jones-Evans?
Harbour Committee.
Harbour Committees, yeah. And we've got a nomination that's been seconded for Councillor Gary Peace. All those in favour? Oh, any other nominations? Sorry. That's quite unnecessary. It's quite a long process, Councillor Mosdale. Please be patient. Any other nominations? No, it is quite hard to see everyone's hands. Now we're voting on Vice Chairman Harbour, Councillor Gary Peace. Those in favour? Okay, any against? And any abstentions? That's carried. Get Councillor Peace in that position.
Thank you, Chairman. And the Vice Chair position for the Investigating and Disciplinary Committee. Nominations, please.
Any nominations? Councillor Andre?
I'd like to nominate the current Vice Chair, Councillor Warren Drew, please.
Councillor Drew, would you like to accept that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lilly? Thank you. So that's any other nominations for that one? No. All those in favour of Councillor Drew for Vice Chair of Investigating and Disciplinary? Thank you. Any against? And any abstentions?
Thank you, Chairman. And now it's the position of Vice Chair for the Licensing Committee. Any nominations, please?
Any nominations for licensing? Councillor Robertson?
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Ward, are you willing to? Yep. And a seconder? Councillor Outlaw? Any other nominations? No. Okay. We can go to the vote on that one. All those in favour of Councillor Ward for Vice Chair? Thank you. Anyone against? And any abstentions? No. Councillor Ward is that position of Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And the Vice Chair of the Pension Fund Committee. Any nominations, please?
Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Churchman.
And Councillor Churchman, are you happy with that nomination? Yes. And a seconder? Councillor Brodie? Thank you. Any other nominations? No. Okay. Could we have a vote on Councillor Churchman for Vice Chair of Pensions? All those in favour? Thank you. Anyone against? And any abstentions? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And we now come to the position of Vice Chair of the Planning Committee. Any nominations, please?
Any nominations? Councillor Robertson?
Planning Committee, Councillor Quirk.
Yeah. Are we sure Councillor Quirk wants this? Sorry, I just have to double check after.
Positive.
Okay, thank you. And seconded by Councillor PC Wilcox. Is there any other nominations? No. Could we vote on Councillor Quirk for Vice Chair of Planning? Those in favour, thank you. Anyone against and any abstentions? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And we now come to the position of Vice Chair for Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Children's Services, Education and Skills. Nominations, please.
Nominations for Vice Chair of Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Ellis.
Okay, Councillor Ellis, are you happy to take that? Yeah. And Councillor Churchman seconded. Is there any other nominations? No. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All those in favour will vote on Councillor Ellis for Vice Chair of Children's Scrutiny. All those in favour, thank you. Anyone against? And any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We now come to the Vice Chair of Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Health and Social Care. Nominations, please.
Nominations, Councillor Lilly.
I wish to nominate John Nicholson.
Councillor Nicholson, would you like to accept that? Okay, and seconded by Councillor PC Wilcox. Any other nominations? No. Okay, if we go to the vote on Councillor Nicholson for Vice Chair, all those in favour? Thank you. And anyone against? And any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Councillor Nicholson for Vice Chair of Health and Social Care Scrutiny.
Thank you, Chairman. And the position of Vice Chair for Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Neighbourhoods and Regeneration. Nominations, please.
Nominations, please. Councillor PC Wilcox.
Yeah, can I nominate little Councillor Jo Lever, please?
Councillor Lever, would you like to accept that nomination? Yeah. And a seconder, please. Councillor Garrett. And any other nominations for that, please? No, a show of hands for Councillor Lever as the Vice Chair of Neighbourhoods and Regeneration. Thank you. Anyone against? And any abstentions? Are you okay? 1, 2, 3, 5 abstentions. Thank you. That's carried. That Councillor Lever is Vice Chair of Policy and Scrutiny for Neighbourhoods and Regeneration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We now come to the confirmation or otherwise of the wishes of the various groups to the various committees, and including also the wishes of the ungrouped members. And I understand from the earlier discussion that Councillor Robertson might have a change to make in one of his nominations. Thank you.
Councillor Robertson, would you like to confirm that change?
Councillor Drew on Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Adult Social Care to replace Councillor Moston.
Okay, that is noted. Thank you. Is there any other? I'll come back to Councillor Robertson. Just would you like to confirm?
Just to confirm that that Mr. Potter got the few penned amendments just before the meeting, which includes Councillor Ellis replacing Councillor Outlaw on Children's Services Policy and Scrutiny.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Robertson. Yes, the amendments, just to clarify, Councillor Susie Ellis to be on the Policy and Scrutiny Committee for Children's Services, Education, Skills, with Councillor Tig Outlaw being transferred, swapped over to be a substitute on that particular Policy and Scrutiny Committee.
And Councillor Ward to remain on pensions.
Indeed.
Okay, was there any other to Councillor Jones-Evans?
I've got a question, if I may, Chair, via you to our monitoring officer, and it may be none of my business, but it just seems strange that the one of the most important committees in this council, that of corporate scrutiny, doesn't have has three important chairs missing from it, because none of the Liberal Democrat group are on that committee. So now we won't have the chair of the children's one, or the regen and environment, or audit on there. But it's fine, because quite often in the past, you've always had those chairs being very much present in that overarching scrutiny function. So maybe none of my business. They may be completely happy with it, but I guess I just didn't quite understand how that happened.
Would you like to comment on that, Mr. Potter?
Thank you, Chair. The political proportionality figures were circulated to all groups and the ungrouped to check through, and basically the figures are as set out before members, and sometimes the figures are equal. You have to make a judgment call as to which committee one goes on and which goes off. So these corresponding gain or loss depending on the figures.
Councillor Lilly?
Just wanted to point out that there is a chairs meeting built into the scrutiny structure for the chairs actually and the vice chairs to regularly meet and actually discuss their different work plans and how they cross. So that is actually built within the scrutiny structure.
Okay, so that should cover that in the eventuality that dialogue is necessary. Okay, would anyone like the...
Thank you, Chair, for explaining that, and thank you, Mr. Potter. I just apologise. I should have said health scrutiny, not children's scrutiny. Obviously, that's Councillor Quigley who is represented on the overall scrutiny committee. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you. I think we got the overall point. Thank you. Would anyone like the lights?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm starting to feel like it might be, can't talk, might be necessary. Thank you, Simon.
Chairman, just to make sure, the Pension Fund Committee, I understand that Councillor Karen Lucioni is for the Alliance on the Pension Fund Committee, and she's indicated that that is the case. So with the changes which have been mentioned tonight, unless there are any other changes which members wish to put forward, then the Appendix 1 as revised tonight is the one which members are asked to vote upon.
Okay, speak now or forever hold your peace on that. I think we're happy with those all nominated. We need to vote on that as a whole now. So all those in favour of those nominations for the whole committees? And anyone against? And any abstentions? Okay, that is carried and agreed. Thank you.
And through you, Chair, having dealt with the appointments and obviously political proportionality review, as mentioned, there is just the confirmation, if members wish to confirm that the audit committee name be changed to audit and governance. And the other sweeping up measure, I think I mentioned earlier, at the beginning, was the seeking delegated authority to the Director of Corporate Services in relation to declaring vacancies under Section 86. And for the benefit of members of the public, Section 86 includes various scenarios, one of which would be a failure to attend meetings for 6 continuous months. And it is a general delegation sought. And I'd ask if members would just vote on those 2 recommendations too.
Councillor Mosdale?
Sorry, can I just ask a question? We've just gone through all this and voted who's going to be chairs and stuff like that. But part of these scrutiny committees is to check and challenge and be that critical friend of the cabinet members. When will we know who those cabinet members actually are, as a matter of interest? Thank you.
I think the leader referred to that at the beginning, and I don't think this is the point to ask that question. Maybe questions of the leader at members' question time, because it doesn't affect. I think we're voting on.
Well, I was asking more of the monitoring officer to know if there a process for that when that has to be announced. Sorry.
I think I'm not sure of the process. So, Mr. Potter.
Yes, through you, Chairman. Obviously, the issue of appointments of the cabinet is for the leader, but clearly, as Councillor Mosdale's rightly said, notification would be given. As soon as I receive any changes, then as soon as practicable thereafter, I'd notify to all members of changes. Those changes then can be published online so that everyone is aware of not just the individuals to the cabinet if there are any changes, but any changes, if there would be any changes in terms of the extent of the portfolios. Thank you.
Okay, so Councillor Brodie.
Just to reflect on the process we've just gone through as well, Chair, can I ask that next year a list is provided ahead of the meeting at the start, doesn't matter when, of nominations for every position? Because I think you will find there will be so many where there's nobody opposing anybody that we can do what we did last year and the year before. We endorsed them en bloc with the opportunity to abstain or to vote against if you wish, but we did it en bloc. I've got a copy of the minutes of last year and the minutes of the year before. I was involved in the organisation of both those annual councils. Believe you me, we were done about an hour earlier than we are tonight. So can I suggest that it happens that way in future? Thank you.
I think that can be noted as a request. I think it took quite a long time last year, actually, as well.
Yes, we just absolutely right, Chair. We need to finish the business in relation to the name change proposed for the Audit Committee to Audit and Governance. And the second vote would be needed to whether or not the full council wishes to grant delegated authority to the Director of Corporate Services as previously outlined. So there's two votes. First one, the name change. Second one, delegated authority request.
So can we vote for the name change for the Audit Committee? So that's now going to be Audit and Governance. All those in favour? Yeah, I think that was everyone. Anyone against that and any abstentions? No, thank you. And then for the delegated authority to bring forward the election. All those in favour? And any against? And any abstentions? That one, that's an abstention. Thank you. Okay, that's carried also. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We now come to the next item on the agenda, which is the appointments outside bodies report. And taking on board what Councillor Brodie said, the appendices are actually in front of members. The nominations for the Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education, the suggestion is that the individuals previously agreed by the council be carried forward for formal appointment in the ensuing year. And if members can see anything from the first appendix to do with the annual council nominations, again, unless there are changes put forward, then the suggestion is that things go across. I do notice changes for the joint consultative meeting, because again, there's been changes in the proportionality, and therefore we have in the right-hand column, Councillor PC Wilcox, Councillor Andre, Councillor Jarman, Councillor Quigley, Councillor Quirk, and Councillor Ward. Those are the names that have been indicated to me as councillors willing to serve on the joint consultative meeting. And I'll just see if there's any further changes notified on that. I think I'm not aware of anything.
Councillor Garrett.
Could the monitoring officer read again the list nominated to the joint consultative meeting, because it does not appear to be proportional to the council?
Yeah, if you could confirm the joint consultative meeting appointments.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Garrett. The names I've got in front of me is Councillor PC Wilcox, Councillor Andre, Councillor Jarman, Councillor Quigley, Councillor Quirk, and Councillor Ward.
Thank you. I had a different list in front of me, so I wanted to be clear on that.
Councillor Ellis.
Sorry, Chair. I think with the monitoring officer, the Conservatives lost a place on that.
Yes,
on
I think
that body, which is why Councillor Robertson's still showing on it, because it was only brought to our attention late in the day.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Ellis. I think members have the most up-to-date list in front of them. So if you refer to the latest list you've got in front of you on that item. And on the outside bodies nomination sheet, again, I think there's carry forward from the ones which are listed, as far as I can see, with clarification probably from Councillor Dorr, maybe in terms of the Armed Forces Day Parade Organising Committee, unless there are any other nominations on that one.
Yeah,
happy to take that forward.
Councillor Dorr, you're happy with that?
Absolutely, yeah, it's in full swing.
Position. Thank you. Councillor Lilly, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say, in regard to the pension board, I wish to step down.
Okay, through you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Lilly, for making that clear. So that's a 4-year appointment. Councillor Lilly indicated there's going to be a vacancy there. So either members can put forward a nomination tonight, or it can be dealt with at a subsequent meeting. I mean, members' hands.
Is everyone happy to deal with that at a subsequent meeting for the appointment of a pension board representative? Yeah, is everyone happy with that? Is anyone, raise your hand if you've got a problem with that. Okay, thank you.
And
Councillor Churchman?
Are we talking about access for?
No.
Oh,
Pension board.
oh,
Councillor Jarman?
Chair, just to note through the chair, obviously, to thank Councillor Lee for his efforts in the past, but also to note for those who might be considering nomination to this, that the pension board, which has had its constitution revised recently as a formal regulatory environment, does have statutory obligations associated with a position on it, including quite substantial training issues. And I think if anybody is considering a role on that environment, they might want to approach me or indeed Joe Thistlewood within the council, who will be able to advise on what those obligations are. They are not inconsiderable. Thank you.
Councillor Lilly, can you turn your microphone? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Jarman, for confirming that.
so just to recap, Chairman, if I may, Councillor Dawes indicated his willingness to hold the position in relation to the Armed Forces Organising Committee position. As far as I can see, all the other details members have in front of them in terms of the annual council nominations, outside body nominations, and also you'll also have the paper from the executive appointments, the latter being merely for noting, and the two earlier ones for you to confirm the individuals to be appointed, which would require a vote by full council on those two items, annual council nominations and outside body nominations.
Okay, so is everybody happy with those nominations? And we're going to vote on them as a list. Yes. Okay, all those for those nominations as a group. Thank you. Any abstentions? Against, Stephen? Any abstentions? No, thank you. So those are carried and agreed. Thank you. That brings us on to item 9. Is that everything? Mr. Potter?
Just for clarity, obviously, you're formally noting the executive appointments for information. And again, just formally sort of for completeness, just to indicate your willingness to note for the time being the appointments, executive appointments. So Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Mosdell.
Sorry, I'm being pedantic, I know, but we're voting en masse for these appointments that say when it says for cabinet member, it says TBA. So shouldn't we vote for all the ones that aren't TBA? Sorry.
Would you like to clarify, Mr. Potter?
Yes, certainly. In relation to, thank you, Chairman, in relation to Councillor Mosdell's point, the TBA element refers to, as far as I can see in the paperwork in front of me, the executive appointments, which are to be noted. Members have heard that there is an intention on the part of the leader to review the cabinet, and obviously sort of formally, although members have been notified this evening, and indulgence with Councillor Love. Councillor Love resigned his position from the cabinet earlier today, and therefore, for the benefit of the public, it is TBA in relation to the vacancy for the position marked for the Augusta Wilder Arms House charity. We are waiting for further information on that.
Okay, you happy with that, Councillor Mosdell? That until that position is filled, then we can't decide on that. So we are just voting on that as a whole as it is right now. Oh, we did it. So yeah, that's what we've done. Councillor Churchman.
Yes, Chair, I have a question and I don't know, in a way it should come under questions, members' questions. However, patrol, parking and traffic regulations outside of London. I would like to know whether Councillor Jordan or Councillor Bacon have attended any of the meetings. And the reason I ask this, if I could explain.
I think this might be a member's question at
Yes,
the
but
end.
it will be too late, Chairman, if we vote this all through, which is why I say I'm asking now.
You need, it's already been voted through, so I think.
Right.
There are executive appointments that relate to that cabinet member, so they cannot be changed. Thank you. Is that all, Mr. Potter? We've finished item 8B. So we are now on to item 9, motion submitted. Actually, before I start, did anyone want another break? I know we had a very short break. I didn't think we would, but I just want to double check everybody is comfortable. Thank you. So item 9, motion submitted for the council's constitution. Oh, Councillor Brodie.
Chair, just before I start to speak on the motion, there will be an amendment to the motion after the musical chairs of the political groups over the last week. The second paragraph, the monitoring officer confirms for me that if this motion were agreed, the working group would consist of 3 councillors from the Alliance group, not 4, and would add 1 councillor from the Empowering Islanders group. Just for clarification before I address the motion. Okay, Chair, I'll kick off now. This is a motion to seek to return this council to the committee system of decision making rather than the cabinet and leader model. A system that ran for decades without any problems, whether there was a majority on the council or not. Horace Barton never needed it for 17 years, even though he had large majorities. I worked and lived in rock-solid Labour authorities in London in the 80s. Camden, Haringey, Hackney, they never had a problem with the committee system. The decision to move to a cabinet system was a surprise policy of Tony Blair, the new Labour government of 1997. I know, I was a party member and I opposed it at the time, along with many party members. I saw no need for a cabinet system and a council of 40 members, not 650 MPs. However, it was introduced here and everywhere from 2000. Leaders in the first decade, Shirley Smart, Andy Sutton, David Pugh, had no choice about having a cabinet system. But in 2011, the Localism Act was brought in, giving local councils the choice to revert if they wish and to consider other models, due to the growing dissatisfaction with the cabinet system nationwide. We have never debated that choice properly on the island since then, despite the pre-election pledges of the independent administration in 2013. My attempt as Labour Group leader in March 2017, when debate was blocked by just 1 vote. Debate then was supported by half the current cabinet and the then Lib Dem member. Whilst the cabinet system certainly favours large majority administrations, it does marginalise the rest of the council and creates unnecessary conflict and acrimony. It is also ridiculous and frankly undemocratic when a council is no overall control, something we've had now in 2013-17, and something I anticipate seeing of this council in the future. If you do change the system, you are tied into that one for 5 years before you can change it again. The service committee system ensures that all councillors partake in some form of decision making, not just 10 or less cabinet councillors, all agreeing with each other in public after a discussion in secret beforehand, a discussion that allows no input from the rest of the council. I believe it will make our council more consensual than the current and recent past conflictual administrations. It will require some staff time and commitment from some councillors on a working group and no doubt the monitoring officer. I hope a majority of us can agree to look at moving to the committee system for at least the 5 years from May next year. I'll just conclude by saying I'm pleased to have the opportunity to propose this. I know it won't meet with approval from everybody, but I do believe in a no overall control council, this is the time to be looking at it. I think we've seen examples over the last 2 years of why the cabinet system doesn't work. I am convinced that it doesn't work in local government, and I say that as someone who's been on this council for a long time. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. I have been told that this, or seen this, that it's got financial implications to it, and that there isn't a budget allocated to looking into this process. So it should be considered further before going to full council, and that we should refer it to cabinet at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. If I could say, yes, I anticipated that, to be frank, but will mean that it has to come back to the July. I am determined to push this as much as I can. Democracy needs to prevail on this council. Sadly, the cabinet isn't democratic on this council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brodie. There's no other motions, so we are moving on to item 10, which is members' questions. We have one written question from Councillor Brodie that has been submitted. Do we have an answer for Councillor Brodie? Would you like to speak on your question?
I'm assuming all members have got a copy of the question. I'm happy to read it out if they wish, but is it worse for members of the gallery if I read the question out, perhaps? Chairman?
Sorry, I didn't have a copy. Would you like me to read it out? Would you like to read it out? Okay, thank you, Councillor Brodie.
Okay. So my question is as follows. I was acting as a substitute at the last planning committee meeting on the 25th of April. I was very alarmed and concerned by the discussion during members' questions that followed the decision and the subsequent sharing of voting records. It clearly highlighted what many of us have known for some time, that a vocal minority of members of the planning committee have consistently voted against officers' recommendations, thereby blocking the delivery of housing on the island. The right sort of housing is desperately needed by the younger and less wealthy members of our communities. Several of those committee members have also seem to have ignored monitoring officers' advice with regards to predetermination on multiple occasions, behaviour which is in breach of the Isle of Wight Council's constitution, section 13, Code of Conduct for Members and Officers dealing with planning matters, decision making, page 242. This was highlighted in the recent planning service peer review as causing the Isle of Wight Council reputational damage, and this fundamentally undermines their local authority's credibility with the inspectorate, therefore undermining the DIPs and potentially incurring financial risk via the appeals process. If delivering houses for islanders is the council's #1 priority, what actions are you going to take to address this unacceptable and damaging situation? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Stevens, do you have a reply to that? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to thank Councillor Brodie for his question and for highlighting his concerns in preparing this response. I've liaised with my colleague, Councillor Paul Fuller, who's a cabinet member responsible for planning and enforcement. Planning committee is, of course, an important committee that acts as a shop window for this council. It plays a crucial role in providing democratic and transparent decisions on sometimes controversial issues. As I know you'll be aware, the planning committee should be determining the planning applications it sees on their own merits and in accordance with the development plan, unless material considerations indicate otherwise. The administration recognised its importance by including the committee within the scope of the peer review into the planning services, which was undertaken by the Local Government Association at the administration's request. I'm aware that at the last planning committee, there was a discussion relating to the issues raised in this question, and that the chair of the planning committee was asked to provide information on voting records at a future committee meeting. I would expect that this exercise will facilitate further conversations and reflection from within the committee if required on this issue. That's the end of my response. I'm only too pleased to take any supplementary from Councillor Brodie, but I will say that I will then go back, confer with my planning cabinet member colleague, and we'll take it forward. But if you'd like to come back to me, Councillor Brodie, only too pleased to respond.
Councillor Brodie, would you like a supplementary question on that?
Yeah, just briefly, I think it's really good to hear the response. Planning shouldn't be political. It shouldn't be predetermined. It's very difficult. Any application for planning is always going to be very difficult. So I'd just like to, hopefully with a new chair and a new committee forming, I would hope that going forward, I'm sure Councillor Stevens would, that all planning applications looked at on their merits and the correct decisions being made, the reputation of this council is maintained. I'm sure Councillor Stevens would agree with that.
Any other members' questions? Councillor Churchman, I think Councillor Churchman was first.
It's a comment really. I have sat on planning on and off, and I've said this personally to Michael Gove. We build the wrong houses for the wrong people. I object to planning applications where we build houses for retirees and as second homes. And therefore, we are not building for islanders. And I would also add that under the Conservative administration, Branston, sorry.
Is there a question at the end of this,
sorry.
Vanessa?
My question is, how are we addressing a developer commitment to building affordable houses and not just building for a market of second homes and retirees that we do not need? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. I think we've been finding a difficulty with that in many ways. Would anyone like to, Councillor Fuller, like to answer that? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Vanessa. A very interesting question. Yeah, affordable homes is a corporate priority for the council, and it's one of those things that we are looking at within the DIPs. We have policies within the draft on planning strategy that will help, we hope, to enable that. There's a lot of good stuff coming through from government as well. Government have also recognised the importance of creating affordable homes for local people, and we are hoping that once we get feedback from the new NPPF, we will be able to be in a position to move the NPPF forward. There have been meetings myself and Councillor Medland had as the previous chairman within our scope with housing providers and about how we actually move this forward. And I look forward to taking that on with the brand new chairman of planning committee. So there will be dialogue and better communication. And I'm hoping that we will be able to have something positive coming through from the government that will tackle things like exceptional circumstances, which we've been in the mire with for some time. So if we can deal with the exceptional circumstances, the recognition that the Isle of Wight is different, that is the key of importance. And I look forward to taking that forward. So thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. And thank you for all your work over these years within planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Spink.
I just don't necessarily expect an answer today because I didn't put this in as a written question, but following on from Councillor Brodie's question, I'd like to make a further question which can be answered at the same time or separately, and that is this: does this local planning authority agree that planning committee members are entitled to vote against an officer's recommendation, provided their decision is based on material planning considerations? Further, the risk of an appeal or financial loss is not a material planning consideration. And does the LPA therefore agree that unless it can be shown that decisions have been taken which are not based on material considerations, that there should be no further action against anyone on the planning committee?
Thank you, Councillor Fuller.
Thank you, Councillor Spink. I'm not in no position to take an opinion about the planning committee, but the planning committee know quite well what the risks are of going to appeal sometimes, and that is something for members of the planning committee as individuals to assess. There is still work to be done, and I look forward to taking that forward with the new member of planning. Thank you.
Mentor.
Supplementary.
Supplementary even. I'm grateful to Councillor Fuller, although that isn't my question. My question is quite clear, that as a matter of law, I don't want to repeat the question, but I'll send in a written copy if it's difficult to get it from the tape. My question was clear, precise. I don't intend to repeat it, but it hasn't been answered.
Okay, well, we'll request a written answer to that question. Councillor Mosdale.
Thank you. I promised my parish council that if we actually got members' questions that I would ask this. It's to Councillor Jordan. Newchurch and Haven Street Parish Councils would both like to know when we'll have the feedback on the speeding review, how we get that feedback, and how do we know that our hotspots within our areas are actually noted within that speed review. It's just sort of how do we get that information and when will it be forthcoming? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mosdale. I think many parish councillors, so thank you for speaking, probably for all of them that would like to know this information. Councillor Jordan.
The outcomes of the review are due in after the summer, in autumn, Chair. The report will come to Cabinet and with priority recommendations for any schemes that are identified with the data from the speed review. We've carried out about 400 sites of speed collection so far.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Yes,
Councillor
please.
Mosdale?
Could we have not the results at the moment, but at least the lists of what are the hotspots, those 400 sites that have been reviewed, so those parish councils can check that those areas that they know are of importance have actually been included before the final report is carried out, please. Thank you.
No.
Councillor Brodie.
Thank you. Question for Councillor Fuller. Councillor Fuller, would you agree with me that the problems experienced by the local planning authority over the last 2 years have almost disappeared with the formation of the Empowering Islanders group and the new membership of the committee? Thank you.
Councillor Fuller.
At the moment, we don't know, because we don't know what is going to happen in the future. So I don't have my crystal ball with me, Councillor Brodie, but we will see, because I'm sure that the Empowering Islanders group will have an input still into the planning committee, and I look forward to seeing that.
Supplementary, please. Councillor Fuller, but do you feel optimistic? Thank you.
I think we should move on. Councillor Churchman.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to ask whether Councillor Jordan or Councillor Bacon have attended any of the parking and traffic regulations outside London, nicknamed Patrol, over the last 2 years, please.
I haven't been able to, Chair.
Councillor Bacon.
Unfortunately, I have not been able to as well. The meetings seem to take place in London. They're very long. It takes an awfully long time to get there and back, and they've just not been able to fit into the schedule.
Supplementary, Councillor Churchman.
Do they realise, and do the rest of the council realise, currently one of the biggest things under discussion is pavement parking. That is going to affect everybody in the country, especially the Isle of Wight. When I sat on it, I regularly went to the meetings, and I'm quite happy to do it again. It is such an important item. Folks, we really need to have an input into this. Thank you.
Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm mightily happily if Councillor Churchman wants to go up to the patrol meetings on certainly my behalf. I can't speak for Councillor Bacon. Very happy for you to trot off up there and report back, Vanessa.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. That's very nice of you. I mean, in the past, I would just add, I managed to actually get back £12,000 worth of parking fees one year. So it paid for whatever it cost me to go there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. Councillor Garrett, did you have a question?
I did, Chair. If I heard correctly, the Cabinet member, Councillor Jordan, responded no to Councillor Mosdale's supplementary request for a list of the hotspots. Could Councillor Jordan explain why that list could not be provided to members of this council?
Absolutely. That's because there is no list. We're in the process of doing a speed review, and the data and the raw data will inform a report in due course. There is no list to provide. There isn't one.
If I may, as a supplementary, Councillor Jordan referred to 400 in his remarks. He definitely quantified the number. So may I ask if you might consider whether, going back to officers, that there may indeed be a list in the usual understanding of things that is being considered?
Thank you, Chair. There is no list. We are in the middle of a review and creating and collating data into a report. There is no list, and the list would be raw data that you wouldn't understand in any event.
Want to bet?
Any more questions? Councillor Price?
Thank you, Chairman. I think the question actually was, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the town and parish councils are asking for a list of what areas and roads have been assessed, not the results. It's to make sure that there are roads and areas that aren't missed off of that review. We all live with a PFI contract that has roads almost completely missed, pavements and bits of street furniture and things. And I think it's just to make sure that roads that are a real problem in town and parishes aren't missed. I think that's the question.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just remind those sat opposite us, Councillor Ward is smiling because he knows, because it was your administration that started the speed review. I'm trying to escape it, Matt. I'm just saying, perhaps Ian's got a list.
Supplementary, Councillor Price?
Sorry, I think Councillor Jordan's,
Councillor Price's floor, please.
Excuse me, yes, thank you. I think Councillor Jordan's missed the point. I used a comparison to the PFI contract. What we're saying is that, you know, whether who was in administration when the PFI contract was drawn up is irrelevant, because that was actually a team that devised that scheme. It wasn't elected councillors. Anyway, the point is that the question is asking town and parish councils, could they be informed as to what roads and what areas are in that assessment? It's not a difficult question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Councillor Jordan. It's just, I think I spoke up because I don't think the question was been received in the right way. So could town and parish councils be informed of what areas are being assessed ahead of the results? Because if there's any areas that are missing, those town and parish councils can ask for them to be included. That's all it is. It's not being difficult. Thank you.
Councillor Jordan?
Much of the review has been carried out in terms of collating the data, and that is one of the difficulties. The town and parishes will come back and say, show me the exact road, the exact time, the exact date. No, that's wrong. Go and do it here, go and do it there, do it at this time of the day, this time of the night. Try and complete chaos into the whole review. I mean, we're carrying it out under the scope of and I'm not saying that in a political sense, Matt, under the scope of what your administration set out. I'm not trying to avoid the question. I'm trying to be helpful in the sense that much of this review has been done. The scope was set. and the review and the report will come out. Much of the scope, I suspect, came out of what's now termed the Highway Safety Integrity Register, HSIR, where requests for either yellow lines and/or speed reductions were made by town and parish councils, by councillors, and indeed members of the public. And that would have informed, I assume, as I wasn't here, I assume will have informed the scope of the review. And there are some obvious main roads of that will be in the scope. And 400 was a guesstimate. It's not exactly 400.
Any other questions? Councillor Daw.
It was more a sharing of information for Councillor Morsel, actually. You're probably aware, and I might be preaching to the converted, but there is existing data, which I requested from Island Roads for my patch, so that I could make comparisons and to ask Councillor Jordan and Island Roads whether it was being rescheduled, just to work out the camera and speeding locations that had been brought to my attention by residents. That's being looked at now under the speed review. So there is existing data, if anybody.
Is there a question with that?
No.
No. Okay. Councillor Ward.
Chairman, thank you. And please indulge me because my questions really were comments, but I will form them as a question. Councillor Stevens. Councillor Stevens, would you agree with me that when we work together to develop housing policy and build more houses on this island, we were met with obstacle after obstacle? You know, we can't build what we don't have planning permission for, and that's one of the biggest problems. So would you agree with me?
Councillor Ward, yes, I totally agree with you. We need sites, we need development, but we need the development that has been spoken about earlier in the chamber this evening, which is island homes for island people. If we can get the price right, and we can actually get island homes, island affordable homes, then so much the better. And that's where we need to be, and that's where we need to drive. Lots of information going on in the background, and I will say I do thank Ian and Martin and others for stepping on board and saying, okay, let's stop criticising the chamber. Let's pull together and see where we can go, because I don't play tit for tat with Branston Farm was my idea, and no, it wasn't. I actually say, okay, let's talk behind the scenes and try and get something on the road. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Fuller, do you have a question, please?
No, it's not a question. It's a response to follow up with what Ian asked just now. I think one of the problems that we've had within the planning department is the lack of resources. One of the things I've instructed officers to do is to fast track affordable housing projects. And I think that's really important, because I think that across the chamber, affordable housing is where we want to see improvement. So I've spoken to my team in the planning department. I'm working with Ian and his team, and I'm hoping that we can bring on some future schemes, because of their importance. And I think we are all working from the same hymn sheet on this.
Councillor Fuller. Councillor Quigley, do you have a question, please?
Yes. We do refer to full council as theatre. Based on tonight's performance, do you think this would be a sellout performance for the general public next time round?
I'm not sure anyone's going to answer that question. I think we've all tried our best. So, Councillor Spink, do you have a question?
Only this, and it's of Councillor Fuller, please, and that's this, that we would both, picking up on the last question that he asked or comment, we would, certainly as far as you and I are concerned, be both on the same hymn sheet if instead of referring to affordable housing, we referred to social housing for rent. I suggest that the affordable housing that we provide is not affordable to islanders, and that is why I have often objected, based on material planning considerations, because it's not helping people on the housing register. So if you would change your language to social housing or rent as being the priority, you and I would be on the same sheet.
I very much look forward to that because within the island planning strategy, we are looking for something which we call island affordable housing. We recognise that affordable housing under government legislation at the moment is 80% of market value. What we are looking for within the island planning strategy, and I know you've read it several times, Councillor Spink, is suggests that we actually try to suppress the cost to local people getting onto the housing list, whether that is by rented, whether it's by buy to rent or by other means. It is important, and it is important to realise how we are different from the island and how we support our islanders. So yes, I think from what you're saying, Councillor Spink, it does sound like you are on exactly the same page as I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Any more burning questions, or can we cut to the end of the meeting? So if there aren't any more questions, I would just like to thank you all for attending. Thank you to those in the gallery and those online, and thank you to those that voted for me earlier, and good night.